All right, namaskar, and welcome to episode number 23 of Understanding Consciousness podcast. And guys, I must tell you the lack of ability I felt when I was going through the paper that I discussed in the last episode. And I couldn't go through the mathematics of that paper. I couldn't understand the terms. I couldn't understand the arguments that were being presented. I could actually understand the abstract. I did understand the reason for that paper, which was to establish the active inference as a theory of consciousness. What is active inference? I feel I know a little bit about it, which is that, first of all, you have to go through the Bayesian brain idea, which is this idea that our brains subconsciously, when they learn, the brain learns using the algorithms of Bayesian statistics, um, in which there is a prior prediction, prior model of the world, and then there is knowledge gathering, and then the Bayesian aspects comes at this stage where the posterior, the resulting change in the model of the world that the brain has in itself, is changed according to the data. And that is the central point. Now, by priors I mean the model, the pre-model, in every at every step, in every moment, whenever there is data coming, there are more data coming in from all modalities. The mind is changing the existing models, right? So the existing models are also a part of the uh, the resulting model. Data does not uh, cannot change models that are absolute in one way. Like if it's an irrational belief in some people about some things, and no matter what data comes in they don't change, that is not how the brain works. The I'm really confusing two different aspects of the brain. One is the mind and the brain, the subconscious brain. But the point is, different when you are at the when the brain has a model in the mind. Another one way to improve that model is to get more data, and another way to improve the model is to act on the world. It's a positive action on the world, and that is an integral part of the whole equation, which is being addressed by this paper. I don't know exactly if I have got this right completely, but I'm stuck. The point is that I'm stuck. I don't know what to do. And I think I know what to do. I'll go and study some statistics, understand the statistical models in other aspects, maybe read some other papers on this idea, maybe go to the first papers that the first time Carl Friston uh, established this active inference free energy principle theory of the brain, of the mind. And let's see where it goes. This is a podcast episode to kind of get back on track from that mishap that happened a few days ago. And my way of getting back on track is to re-establish why I actually am interested in this field and go from there. My interest in this field over the days that I have been going through the podcast have become a way to understand if my, my, I was really fascinated by David Eagleman's research a few years ago when I came across that research about sensory substitution, about the deaf being able to hear through the West, which vibrates, about the blind people who can see with a piece of electrode in their tongue, and also the blind can see through some sound um, through some headphones. All these various experiments done by this scientist called Paul Bakirita. Really fascinating. And since then, I have been fascinated by perception. Are those deaf people actually able to perceive hearing? Is it like we perceive hearing when they can sense the data coming through the skin of their back? Does that feel like a touch sensation, or does that has it converted? Is there a cross modality? Is it like synesthesia, mixture of senses? Does it feel a little bit like hearing? Does it eventually become hearing? That's a fascinating question, I think, from the other side of consciousness research as well. um, we are trying to understand perception. If we can understand newly acquired perception, and the fact that those sensory substitution vests are not limited to the substitution of senses, they are also available to normal fully functioning human beings who just need to add another sensory enhancement. Let's say magnetic fields. We cannot feel magnetic fields, right? But birds can, because they have this magnetite ore in their head or something. They have this weird thing in their biology that they can perceive the direction of magnetic field, and we have no idea how they perceive it. What is the perception like? But we can redo it in using this vest, where we attach this vest and feed magnetic field data through this vest, and the person who's wearing it trains on it and understands it, and slowly maybe our minds will get that ability. Of course, the person who is wearing the vest will definitely get the ability, but does that ability stay if the vest is removed? All these very interesting questions come to my mind. And the most interesting question that comes to my mind is in the form of okay, so this is a vest we have where we can feed subconscious mind some data, and the Bayesian brain can access that data, can make sense of that data, and then understand and make a model of the data that's coming in and convert it into perception for the conscious mind. And all of a sudden you can sense the meaning of the words that are being vibrated to you through that vest, even if you are deaf. If if that is an ability we have, the subconscious data processing of the brain, can we actually attach two people in the west and feed each other the other person's emotional state data? while they are going through this conversation between them. And will that achieve something? Can that, is it, will people start playing game theory? Will the prisoner's dilemma, will people start using that data for their advantage in that context? Or maybe depends on the person, I guess. We in normal conversation also, we have a lot of people who are emotionally very sensitive to the other person's changes in emotions, and they can perceive it much better. And it depends on that person's morality, whether they use it against the person or to help them. But the all these kind of dynamics will be available to us to study if we somehow train on this data. I don't know, I can't stop thinking about this point, and it's just pertaining to this thing. And I thought, if I go through some science of Bayesian brain and active inference, we can understand how to model such an experiment. I really want to do it. I just want to go and buy stuff to make a vest with vibratory motors and attach, but I don't know the language. There is a lot of research that happens, pre research. What kind of mapping of data is the best, right? How do you map the different aspects of sound, let's say, to convert it into vibrations? In this in How do you want to map the emotional data that's coming from, what can be even access, what kind of emotional data can be even accessed from a person? Just their increased heart rate or something? Is that the even sufficient for the other person to get something out of it? I don't know. All these questions are really fascinating, and I want to come back tomorrow with some concrete understanding of the next steps. In the meantime, I'm actually thinking of setting up a workshop and creating these vests, and I'll keep you guys posted. I find some financiers, look at some prospective places to set this up and stuff like that, and see what we can do in this, in the spirit of um, talking less and doing more. I'll see you tomorrow.